Every time I confess to the campus belle, she sends me a red envelope. The first time, it was 520. The second time, it was 1314. The third time, it was 5201314. Then she'd coldly reject me from being my girlfriend. I thought she was using money to get rid of this suitor, until one day I found her phone and discovered that she had hidden 990 candid photos of me in her phone. Her note for me was the nickname Darling Husband. It turned out the campus belle fell in love with me at first sight, but was secretly enjoying the process of me pursuing her. After finding out the truth, I made a phone call. Mom, Dad, I've decided to study abroad. The person I likes me back. But in that moment, I didn't feel happy at all. Instead, I felt angry and helpless. For the past 2 years, to be with her, I gave up all my self-respect, faced countless taunts from my classmates, brought her breakfast every day, and was always the first person to appear before her when it rained. To give her an umbrella, my unrequited love made me secretly shed tears on countless late nights, only to pull myself together the next day and continue chasing after her, even to stay by her side. Even the hard-won spot as an exchange student, I almost gave it up. The conversation in the room wasn't over yet. Suyura's voice came through. He likes me. He won't run away. I'll wait for his next confession, and then I'll say yes. That casual tone, as if she had it all figured out, made me scoff involuntarily. Next time, there won't be a next time. Right now, I just want to leave and disappear completely from her world. The moment I pushed the door open, the chatter in the room suddenly stopped. Everyone tactfully looked away and changed the subject, acting as if they hadn't seen me. Suiru also raised a glass of wine, joining the game at the table with a cold and indifferent look, not even bothering to lift her eyelids. I glanced at her and couldn't help but marvel at her excellent acting. Faced with the entire room ignoring me, I didn't feel disappointed at all. I just found an empty seat in the corner and sat down. For the next hour or so, everyone was chatting happily, while I sat alone, scrolling through my phone like an invisible person. Before, whenever Suuru was around, I would definitely find an opportunity to get close to her, bringing up all sorts of topics to get her attention. Even for this birthday party, I had to beg her for a long time and ask many people to put in a good word for me before she finally invited me. Logically, something that's hard to get should be cherished even more. But seeing my calm demeanor, as if I didn't care about her birthday at all, this unusually cold attitude made Suuru finally unable to maintain her composure, and she glanced at me a few times after singing the birthday song and cutting the cake. It was soon time for gifts. I waited for everyone to finish before slowly getting up and taking a calendar out of my bag to hand to her. Everyone present looked at me in surprise, because this calendar was only palm-sized, with only 30 pages in total, looking incredibly shabby. I didn't care about the others' expressions. I just looked at Suyuru and said nonchalantly, "Suyuru, from today onwards, tear off one page every day. When you get to the last page, there will be a surprise. It's the late birthday gift I've prepared for you." As soon as I said this, her roommates immediately started giggling. "It's your 100th confession. Right, you sure are persistent. Still going strong after 2 years. Do you like Yuru that much?" Influenced by these words, Suuru also naturally assumed that this was a countdown calendar for my 100th confession. The corners of her lips curved up slightly, but she quickly suppressed it, returning to an expressionless look. "I only said before that, if you confess 100 times, I would consider it. Not that I would definitely agree to be with you." I knew they had all misunderstood. When the last page is torn, it won't be the day of my confession, but the day I completely disappear from her world. I didn't explain. I just scoffed. "Suyuru, I've chased you for so long without moving your heart. I really want to know what your ideal type is." As soon as I asked, the whole room went silent. Everyone looked at her with meaningful glances. Suuru stared at me, silent for a few seconds, then gently parted her lips. My ideal type. She had just begun, when the closed door was pushed open by someone, instantly drawing everyone's attention. Under everyone's gaze, Chu Mushung appeared, holding an exquisitely wrapped box, giving a warm smile to Suyuru. "Uru, happy birthday." Suyura's gaze followed his greeting and landed on Chu Musheng. She tapped her fingers gently on the table, continuing her interrupted sentence. "My ideal type is, of course, someone with an open personality, a bright appearance, the handsome boy next door type." Hearing such ambiguous words upon entering, Chu Musheng's face quickly turned red. He happily walked over to her side and handed her the carefully prepared gift, urging her to open it on the spot. In an instant, the attention quickly shifted, and no one spoke of that topic anymore. Watching the two of them surrounded by the crowd, I didn't show any heartache, but calmly returned to my seat and sat there for the rest of the evening. Wherever Suuru went, Chu Musheng was sure to be by her side. The two of them laughed and talked happily, taking drinks for each other and sharing a piece of cake. I quietly watched their intimate behavior, and many memories surfaced in my mind. Although Suuru was the belle of Qingda University, with many suitors, she always kept her distance from boys, and the only exception was her childhood sweetheart, with whom she grew up, Chu Musheng. She would fix his messy bangs, go to class with him, and bring him water during breaks in his basketball games after school. These favors, In my eye were all thorns piercing my heart, but it wasn't until I learned the truth that day that I realized, although Su Uru and Chu Musheng were childhood sweethearts, they weren't that close before. Chu Musheng clung to Su Uru all day, but she never paid him any mind. It wasn't until I appeared that she started to deliberately, in front of me, act all intimate with Chu Musheng just to make me jealous, and thus give me more motivation to pursue her. So when I saw Su Uru putting on such a show in front of me, I only felt it was ironic. Putting down the wine glass in my hand, I stood up and went to the restroom, splashing water on my face. I sobered up a bit, taking a napkin from my pocket to wipe the water from my face. My vision was obscured, and I didn't notice someone had suddenly appeared next to me, until I heard Chu Musheng's sarcastic voice. Did I realize something was wrong? Zhang Haochin, you've pursued Uru for so many years, and she still hasn't said yes. Yet you still have the nerve to follow her to her birthday party. I'm begging you. She doesn't like you at all. Can't you have a little self-awareness? You cheap, clingy leech. Chu Musheng had a scholarly appearance, but his words were so crude, I wasn't bothered by his words at all. I just looked at him coldly. Are you done? Chu Musheng didn't expect my reaction to be so calm and was momentarily stunned, but he didn't want to show weakness. So he glared at me and said, of course not. Do you know what the whole school is saying? You're the dog who's confessed 99 times. You're a student. After all, don't you have any dignity? Anyone with eyes can see that Su Uru likes me. Why can't you open your damn eyes and see for yourself? Seeing his aggressive stance, I remained unfazed and just shifted my gaze from him to behind him, reminding him, before you curse someone, why don't you check behind you first? Chu Musheng followed my gaze and turned around with a puzzled look, only to see Su Uru at the doorway. She seemed to have been standing there for a long time and had probably witnessed the whole scene. At this thought, Chu Musheng immediately panicked. His scholarly demeanor quickly returned to his face, with no trace of arrogance left. He quickly went to her side and took her arm, explaining frantically, Uru, it's not what you think. It was Zhang Haochin. He insulted me first. But Su Uru didn't seem to care at all, even though she had clearly witnessed Chu Musheng's insults. She acted as if she had seen nothing. She glanced up at me, then turned and pulled Chu Musheng's hand, her voice incredibly gentle. I believe you. Let's go back. After speaking, she took his hand and turned to go back to the room. Chu Musheng hadn't expected her to have this attitude either. As if she didn't mind at all that he had insulted me, he immediately gained confidence. He turned his head back smugly, with a mocking expression, mocking my overestimation of myself. I lowered my head and turned to go downstairs. The corridor was very quiet. In the darkness, only my footsteps could be heard. What just happened replayed in my mind, and I let out a cold laugh. While holding Chu Musheng's hand, her gaze was clearly on me, but her mouth spoke words of concern for Chu Musheng. I have to say, her acting skills are truly outstanding. If I didn't know her hidden thoughts, I might have actually been fooled by her and would have been heartbroken for a long time. Something like tonight wasn't the first time it had happened. Over the years of pursuing her, I gave up all my pride and self-respect, no matter how others mocked me or even insulted me to my face. I never took it to heart. I just wanted to focus on myself and get what I wanted without leaving any regrets. So I persisted in confessing 99 times. But the person I've liked for 2 years, in order to enjoy my pursuit, ignored these rumors and insults. The pain this caused me was deeper than 1,000 insults. It was raining heavily outside, and the taxis had almost all stopped running. Everyone was stranded at the bar entrance. Su Uru called her family's driver, saying she wanted to take Chu Musheng home. Chu Musheng immediately looked smug, glancing sideways at me, his tone deliberately provocative. It's so late. Everyone else has gone. Leaving Zhang Haochin here to wait for a car alone doesn't seem right. Su Uru took the umbrella from the driver. Her voice was faint. He has legs. After saying that, she didn't even look at my expression and led Chu Musheng into the car. Watching the sports car disappear into the rain, I paid it no mind and continued to try hailing a car on the app. After waiting for over 2 hours in the cold wind, it wasn't until the rain subsided that a driver accepted my request. When I got home, it was already 2 in the morning. I brushed the raindrops off my coat and slowly walked to my apartment door, entered the password, and the door had just opened. When the door across the hall also opened, Su Uru stepped out with a cold expression, her eyes devoid of any warmth. Come back earlier next time. The sound of the door opening is too loud. It's disturbing my rest. I looked at the clothes she still hadn't changed out of and understood something. I mumbled a perfunctory response and went straight into my room, turned on the lights, closed the door. When I was done changing, I heard a door slam shut from outside. I paid it no mind, took off my wet clothes, turned on the air conditioner, and curled up with a blanket on the sofa. I had heard from others half a year ago that this apartment was specially bought by Su Uru after she moved out of the dorms. To pursue her, I also moved out and became her neighbor, bringing breakfast in the morning and wishing her good night in the evening. I created all sorts of coincidental encounters every day just to move her heart. But no matter how much I cared for her, she always ignored me and rarely responded. But until I saw through her secret, I didn't know she was always pretending not to care. Just like tonight. She had clearly been home for a long time and hadn't even changed her clothes, all because she was worried about my safety, so she didn't go to sleep. But the moment she saw me, She deliberately said nonsensical things. This act of hers, where her words don't match her feelings. I was tired of watching it, and I didn't want to play along with her anymore. I opened my phone, opened a real estate app, and listed my apartment. Since I've decided to leave, I have to make a clean break. The next morning, the real estate agent came to see the apartment. I groggily got up to open the door, and briefly explained the basic situation of the apartment. After the viewing, I was about to see her out when the door across the hall opened. Suyuru was about to go out with her car keys in hand. She saw a strange woman next to me, and her eyebrows furrowed unconsciously. Who is she? My sister-in-law. She came to drop something off. I lied without batting an eye. The agent next to me immediately looked over in surprise, but she was very professional and didn't expose my lie. She found an excuse and left first. I went back to my room, changed my clothes, and was about to head to school. Just as I turned the corner, someone was blocking the way in front of the elevator. I turned my head and saw it was Suyuru, which was a bit strange. Didn't she just intend to go out? Why hasn't she left yet? Suyuru saw the doubt in my eyes and said a little unnaturally, "I'll take you to school today." I didn't know why she was acting like a different person today, so I shook my head and refused her, but she was insistent, as if she was on something, demanding to take me, and came up with many reasons, from being almost late to it being on the way. And when I saw she was about to use environmental protection as a reason, I couldn't refuse her and didn't want to drag it out any longer, so I agreed. During the whole ride, neither of us said a word. The car was extremely quiet. She was used to hearing me chatter in her ear, and now seeing me so quiet, Su-uru was not used to it. A flicker of surprise crossed her mind. It seemed it wasn't her imagination. He really seemed to have changed these past few days, and these changes were making her inexplicably start to panic. When we arrived at school, I let out a thank you and left first. I quickly walked through the school gate and noticed that everyone who passed by was giving me very strange looks and whispering amongst themselves. Jang Hyo-chin, that's him. Right. Yes. 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 That's the guy from the trending topic. So embarrassing, hearing these baffling words. I hurriedly opened my phone and saw several links sent by my friends. I opened one to look and found that someone had posted about my pursuit of Suyuru on a gossip page, and it had even become a trending topic. Seeing the topic, the Kingda University stalker, I froze. The hottest post in that topic was one that compiled all of my pursuit behaviors, written in great detail. Even the contents of my love letters were made public. From a distance, I saw a crowd gathered in front of the school's notice board, which was plastered with the love letters I had written, and the crowd was laughing and commenting, "Fell in love and drowned in your eyes. So cringe." 99 love letters, all written differently. This love-struck brain is terrifying. Isn't he supposed to be the top scholar of Kingda? Why is he so clingy? Hearing these merciless taunts, my heart grew heavy. I pushed through the crowd and tore them all down, one by one. Then Chu Musheng's voice rang in my ears. "Uru, Jang Hyo-chin has confessed to you so many times. How much do you like him?" Suyura's voice was as cold as ever, as she said just one word. "None." Seeing that both main characters were present, and I was being publicly humiliated, the laughter in the crowd grew more cheerful and widespread. Some troublemakers, afraid things weren't exciting enough, deliberately asked me sarcastically, "Jang Hyo-chin, you've confessed 99 times, and only got a big fat 0 in return. Shouldn't you keep trying? When are you planning to start your next confession? We'll come and watch, and give you some pointers. How about it?" I clenched the torn love letters in my hand. A few words rose to my lips, and I was about to open my mouth, but looking at the gossiping eyes from all sides, I held it back. I let out a scoff, held up the love letters in my hand, as if waving a battle flag, and loudly declared, "All right. The 100th confession will be at the school's Central Plaza at 9 a.m. on December 3rd. All students are welcome to bring their friends to watch." After speaking, I didn't care about the reactions of those around me. I gritted my teeth, held my head high, and left the scene. I didn't go to class that morning, but went home instead. The tap gushed, filling a basin with water. Without hesitation, I plunged my face into the water until my chest felt like it was suffocating. I pushed myself up from the counter and greedily gasped for fresh air. My head, dizzy with anger, had cleared up. I looked at my calmed face in the mirror and tore up every letter in the thick pile of love letters before burning them to ashes, letting them all go down the drain. Over the weekend, the Long Dormant Club suddenly sent a message saying they wanted to have a gathering. I happened to need to submit my withdrawal form from the club, so I went. As a result, as soon as I pushed the door open, I saw that Suyuru, who had never participated in these activities, had also unexpectedly come. I didn't look around. I pretended not to see her and sat alone in a corner. As soon as they saw me, Chu Musheng's buddies immediately started their act. Brother So, why did Uru agree to come? That's obviously because Brother So likes a lively atmosphere. Who doesn't know that our campus belle only listens to Brother So? I couldn't be bothered with their petty tricks, so I casually grabbed a few tangerines and started peeling them. Everyone had arrived, and the club president announced the start of the game. I had no interest, but I was dragged into it, so I had to force myself to play this boring game of truth or dare. Played 7 or 8 rounds. It was finally Suyura's turn to lose. Everyone excitedly shouted loudly, "Oh my god! Campus Bell Sue. You drew the card to kiss any person of the opposite sex present for 3 minutes. Quick, quick, quick. Who will the campus belle choose to take the penalty with you? I knew she wouldn't choose me. I also didn't care who she chose. I lowered my head and fiddled with the dice in my hand, and things didn't go beyond my expectations. Suyuru chose Chu Mosheng, but she made a request. All the lights in the room had to be turned off. The room was pitch black. Only the sound of heavy breathing could be heard, and the occasional whispers from the members. 3 minutes later, the lights came on. Su-uru sat down first. Chu Mosheng stood there stunned. His expression wasn't very good. Su-uru didn't kiss him. I glanced at her indifferently. I heard the club president say a new round was starting. I casually threw the 3 dice in my hand. Unfortunately, 3 ones. The lowest score possible. If you play, you have to accept the consequences. I didn't say a word. I drew a card from the deck. It was the same card as before, with the exact same penalty. Immediately, everyone's expression in the room became excited. Their gazes shifted back and forth between the 3 of us. Me, Suyuru, and Chu Mosheng. I just pretended not to see. I casually spun the game spinner. The needle pointed to a junior female student across from me. For a moment, everyone thought I would change my mind. Everyone held their breath. But my expression didn't change as I stood up. I walked straight to the junior female student. My tone was full of indifference. Sorry to bother you, Junior. The junior female student was bewildered. She was about to stand up. Su-uru suddenly shot up, knocking over her chair. Just as everyone was still confused, she coldly interrupted. We've been playing for so long. I'm a bit tired. We should take a break. Right, she had spoken. Her roommates chimed in noisily. The club president had to announce that the penalty was paused, and it was break time. Some of the girls said they were a bit hungry. The roommates hurriedly pulled the boys in the room downstairs, saying they were going to buy food. This trip took 20 minutes. Seeing that everyone wasn't coming back, the club president didn't want to wait anymore either. He directly announced the game would continue. I put down my phone. I looked around, only to realize that the junior female student had disappeared. To be more precise, except for Su-uru, all the other girls had disappeared. I didn't need to guess. I knew this was another one of Su-yuru's intentional acts, but I didn't want to do as she wished. So I picked up the 500 milliliters glass of alcohol in front of me. I gestured to everyone. The player I chose has left. According to the rules of the game, I choose to drink all the alcohol to complete the penalty. After speaking, I tilted my head back and drank the entire glass without changing my expression. Su-uru didn't expect that I'd rather drink than choose her. Her expression immediately turned cold. She looked down at my flushed face, clenching the dice in her hand so tightly they creaked. With half the people gone, the game wasn't fun anymore. The gathering just ended like that. I was dead drunk. After waiting for everyone to leave, I gave the club withdrawal form from my bag to the president. I leaned on the wall, wanting to go downstairs. Just as I reached the top of the stairs, I vaguely saw Chu Mosheng not far away. I was about to pretend I didn't see him and avoid him, but he grabbed my hand tightly. His eyes were filled with rage. Just now, after the lights came on, what did you mean by that look you gave me? Let me tell you, even if Sister Yuru didn't kiss me, there was a reason for it. It represents her true love for me. I really almost laughed out loud, but I knew, at this moment, no matter what I said, Chu Mosheng wouldn't listen. So I nodded. Whatever you say is right. After saying that, I tried to push his hand away to leave, but Chu Mosheng only gripped tighter, cursing relentlessly, refusing to let go. The 2 of us struggled. My footing was already unsteady. With a pull, I immediately lost my balance. I fell backwards and tumbled all the way down the high flight of stairs. Chu Mosheng was startled. He couldn't keep his footing for a moment and also tumbled down the stairs, hearing the noise coming from upstairs. The students downstairs who hadn't gone far rushed back to check the situation. Seeing that both of us were seriously injured, everyone immediately panicked. In the end, it was Su-uru who contacted someone and took both of us to her family's hospital. After an examination, the doctor said it was a bone fracture. If not treated in time, there could be a risk of disability. From the moment she discovered we were injured, her eyes never left me, looking at my pale face and the sweat constantly rolling down my forehead. She seemed to feel that pain too. Her heart also ached. The operating room was ready, but the person in the hospital who could perform this surgery, there was only one specialist available right now. Su-uru had to decide the order. She unconsciously looked towards me, just in time to meet my gaze. In those eyes, there was no longer the old affection and passion. Only the stillness of a stagnant pool remained. This gaze made Su-uru's heart tremble violently. Miss, please make a decision quickly. Who should have surgery first? I lay on the stretcher, my face pale. In the second before I fainted, I heard Su-uru clearly say that name. Chu Mosheng. Save Chu Mosheng first. Very quickly, the doctor pushed Chu Mosheng into the operating room. The moment the door closed, I also completely passed out. When I woke up again, it was a day later. I opened my eyes. My first action was to touch my leg. When I felt my leg was still there, and I could still feel it, I finally let out a sigh of relief. Tears of a survivor after a disaster welled up in my eyes. Luckily, I wasn't disabled. My parents received the news and arrived very quickly. They moved me to a VIP room on the top floor and took great care of me. 2 hours later, Chu Musheng was moved to the room across from mine. Su Yuru personally helped him in. For convenience of monitoring, the doors of both hospital rooms were open. I could clearly see the situation in the opposite room. Chu Musheng kept screaming and making a fuss. Su Uru would find all sorts of topics to distract him. The patient meal brought by the logistics department didn't suit his taste, so she went home personally to cook many light dishes. And when he got bored in the hospital room, she would find all sorts of new and interesting things to entertain him. During these 10+ days in the hospital, the two were so intimate that even the nurses started to gossip, wondering excitedly if their hospital director was about to get a daughter-in-law. I listened quietly, without participating. But in my heart, I knew clearly, Su Uru was doing all of this just for me to see. After all, I had closed this hospital room door 100 times. Every time I closed it, a nurse would come to check the room. The door opening rate was 100%. It couldn't possibly be a coincidence. On the day of discharge, I met them again in the underground garage. As soon as she saw me arrive, Su Yuru helped Chu Musheng up from his wheelchair and into the car, through the car window. Chu Musheng stuck half his head out towards me. He gave a fake smile. Zhang Haochin, I heard you live across from Yura's house. Want us to give you a ride? I didn't want to pay him any mind. I didn't even lift my head and got straight into the car. After the car arrived downstairs at the apartment building, I refused my parents' help and went home on crutches by myself. The elevator went from the basement to the first floor. Su Yuru, who was supposed to be driving Chu Musheng home, suddenly stepped in. We looked at each other once. Then neither of us spoke. The elevator stopped on the 17th floor. Su Yuru stood at the door and didn't leave. I had to take a few steps around her on my crutches. To get out the door first, I walked slowly, but the person behind me walked even slower. I could feel her eyes glued to me. By the time I reached my door, I was about to enter the password. The crutch in my hand suddenly fell to the ground. I could only lean against the wall and slowly squat down. Just as I touched the crutch, a shadow suddenly appeared before me. Su Uru also squatted down, probably intending to help me pick it up, but the moment she met my gaze, her hand pulled back, and she tied her own untied shoelace. I gave a sarcastic smile. I picked up the crutch and slowly stood up. I went into my room. After recovering at home for a long time, the final exams quickly arrived, even though I was about to go abroad. But my leg could reluctantly walk again, so I didn't apply for an exam exemption, but went to take the exam. The tiered lecture hall had too many stairs. My injured leg hadn't fully recovered, so I sat in the very front row. In the middle. Not long after, Su Yuru also helped Chu Musheng in. As soon as he saw me, Chu Musheng immediately whined that his leg hurt, demanding to sit in the front row. So Su Uru helped him to the seat next to me. Then she sat in the seat against the wall herself. The exam quickly began. Chu Musheng timed the moment the teacher stepped off the last step and threw a pre-prepared paper ball onto my desk, which was an aisle away. My hand holding the pen paused. I still didn't understand what happened when the teacher who had just turned around scolded me. Before the exam, I emphasized many times, you can do poorly on the test, but there can't be a problem with your character. No cheating is allowed. You knew, yet you still violated the rule. Zhang Haochin, your exam results are voided. Only then did I know what Chu Musheng's intention was, but I didn't want to suffer in silence. I immediately stood up to clear my name, saying I wanted to check the security camera footage. Unfortunately, because the lecture hall building had a power outage this morning, the security camera in the classroom wasn't turned on in time. Seeing Chu Musheng's expression change from shock to gleeful, I really couldn't swallow this anger. Su Yuru was sitting right next to Chu Musheng. She saw everything. The teacher didn't want to wrongly accuse a good person either. He immediately asked Su Uru to come over. The lecture hall at King University was funded by the Su family. Su Uru didn't need to curry favor with anyone, and her personality was cold and upright, so her words always carried weight with the teachers and students. After hearing the whole story, Su Uru looked up at me, then said coolly, the one who cheated was not Chu Musheng. As soon as these words were spoken, it almost sealed my guilt immediately. Teacher Zhao believed it instantly. He looked at me with a cold face. Zhang Haochin, do you have any other excuses? You cheated and won't admit it, and you even slandered a fellow student. You are truly stubborn and refuse to change. Weren't your past achievements also from copying? Regardless, this time, I will definitely report this to the entire school for a public reprimand. I stood there, feeling as if I had fallen into an ice pit. I had considered the matter of right and wrong, which is why I mentioned her name, but I never expected that she, having witnessed everything with her own eyes, would help Chu Musheng give false testimony. Now, any more explanation would be useless. I took a deep look at Su Yuru and left without a single word. Seeing my gaze, Su Yuru suddenly became flustered. She unconsciously chased after me, blocking my way. Zhang Haochin, I know Chu Musheng was wrong in this matter, but he's thin-skinned. I don't want him to be gossiped about by others. Not even a word of apology, only concerned with explaining for Chu Musheng. I even began to doubt the photos I saw that day. Were they just a dream? I looked at her with a sneer. My tone was trembling and full of anger. So this is the reason you helped him slander me. He can't stand being gossiped about, but I can. Right, Suyuru. Do you feel that because I've confessed to you 99 times? My skin is as thick as a city wall, and am strong enough not to fear any rumors. Seeing me like this, Suyuru's left eyelid twitched. She directly grabbed my hand. I didn't mean that. It's just one exam. You can still retake the credits. Later. I'll find a way to make up for the grievances you suffered today. Make it up. But you don't even like me. How do you plan to make it up? This sarcastic tone of mine made Suyuru's heart clench. She almost blurted out what was on her mind. Who said I don't? As soon as she opened her mouth, she realized something was wrong. She hurriedly stopped. Trust me. Just wait until the 100th confession. I will make it up to you. Suyuru was just short of saying outright that she would definitely accept me. Before, she wouldn't have revealed so many weaknesses. Now, it was just because she was too hasty. I had long since lost heart. I pushed her hand away. I lowered my eyes. Then just keep tearing off the calendar pages. Wait for the last day. Seeing me pull my hand back. Suyuru was also stunned. Her tone finally softened a bit. Okay, 3 days left. I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. 3 days before leaving, the apartment had been for sale for over half a month. It was successfully sold. The real estate agent came to deliver the contract. I signed it very quickly. I will move out in 3 days. During these days, I will clean up all my belongings in the house. Then the new tenant can move in. After the agent noted down the date, I walked her to the elevator. Just as the door opened, Suyuru stepped out carrying 2 bags. She stared at the agent for a long time and very politely called out, "Hello, sister-in-law." The agent replied with a bewildered sound. After the elevator went down, I turned to leave. Suyuru suddenly called out to me. She handed over a bag. I was just passing by. I bought a little too much. I can't finish it all. Do you want to try some? I glanced at it and realized it was gofu, my favorite dish. This shop is in the east of the city. A round trip takes over 2 hours, and you have to wait in line for an hour to buy it. She deliberately went to buy my favorite snack and found an excuse to bring it over. It was just to apologize for yesterday's incident, but I no longer needed her apology. I didn't say anything. I took it, and then casually threw it away after getting home. The bag of guafu drew a parabola in the air and landed precisely in the trash can. 2 days ago, I went to a print shop. I spent several thousand yuan and printed 10,000 palm-sized cards. I went back to the dorm. I asked my roommates to go up to the roof of the main building on the 3rd and scatter these cards down onto the square. My roommates all knew about what had happened recently. Hearing that I wasn't giving up, they tried to persuade me one by one. Hayachin, maybe you should just let it go. Suyuru has already treated you like this. Why do you have to make things difficult for yourself? That's right. She's really gone too far. She has completely betrayed your feelings, although I had already thought it through. But hearing my friends care about me like this, a wave of warmth still rose in my heart. I shook my head. Don't worry, I know my limits. Just help me scatter them. I've already hired a cleaning company to clean up afterwards. I'm not planning to confess. What I really want to do is say farewell. Hearing this, my friends were all stunned. You look at me. I look at you. Unable to guess what I was planning. I said, "Thank you again," and turned to leave. Watching my back recede into the distance, my roommates opened the cardboard box and took out a card. Only one sentence was written on it. I will never like Suyuru again. One day before leaving, after I went to school and completed all the procedures, I went home and started packing my luggage. I only moved here half a year ago. I didn't have many things, but most of them were related to Suyuru. I threw all of these things inside. The moment the box was thrown into the trash can, everything between me and Suyuru would become the past. In the end, only 2 sets of clothes were left in the house. It was the shirt and wide black jeans she wore when we first met. I lit a match and burned them to ashes. Blue smoke rose very quickly. Only a pile of ashes remained on the ground. I stood up. Just as I turned around, I saw Suyuru not far away, looking at me with a shocked expression. "I'm just cleaning up some unnecessary trash." I said this coolly and turned to go upstairs and leave. That day, just as the sky brightened, I was woken up by noise from across the way. I groggily opened my eyes. I picked up my phone to check the time first and saw messages continuously popping up on the notification bar. I looked for a long time, only to realize all the messages were from a group of over 20 people. A year ago, to find out Suyuru's interests, I had secretly infiltrated it. I always forgot to leave. Suyuru didn't know I was in there either, and the person who started the lively chat early in the morning was Suyuru and her dorm sisters. "Uru, you're up so early. Weren't you so excited you couldn't sleep all night?" Needless to say, she started getting ready at 11 last night. "Are you really planning to accept Zhang Hayachin's confession this time?" Scrolling to this point, my hand paused. It was rare to see Suyuru type such a long paragraph below. "It's not about accepting. He and I have already had mutual feelings for a long time. We are naturally getting together. Stop asking. Quick! Help me see which outfit looks good today. This one or this one." Seeing the dozens of outfits she sent, the photos, the group immediately started buzzing. "Oh my god, why so formal? Is this still my cold, aloof campus belle? Campus belle Su, this is the first time I've ever seen you care so much. Do you like Zhang Hayachin that much?" Amidst a series of exclamations, Suyuru only replied with one sentence. "I like him a lot. For the rest of my life, It has to be him. Seeing this line of text, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I leaned against the headboard, watching the sky outside the window grow brighter. Many old memories flashed through my mind. When I saw this I just feel a sense of absurdity and humor. Like an Henry ending. She likes me, so she rejected my 99 confessions, letting me become a laughingstock in everyone's eyes. She likes me, so she was cold to me and even deliberately acted intimate with another guy to provoke me. She likes me, so she twisted the truth to slander me, trampling all over my sincere feelings. If this is what her like is, then I really can't bear it, nor am I blessed enough to receive it. The messages in the group chat were refreshing faster and faster. A few female students at the school sent some photos of the scene. It was just past 7, but the square was already filled with many people. Teachers from inside and outside the school, and students were all there. Some people were even selling mineral water on the side. Peanuts, grilled sausages. They are here. So many people came to watch my 100th confession. Uru, hurry over here. Don't let the confession start. And the main female lead like you can't even squeeze in to watch the spectacle. As expected of human nature, I was about to exit when I saw a message Suyuru had just sent me. I'm about to set off. And you. I'm about to set off too, just preparing to leave. I suddenly really wanted to see Suyuru at the stadium, to see her expression after witnessing those cards being scattered down, and what her mood would be like after finding out I'm going abroad. It's just a pity that I won't be able to see it. From now on, everything about Suyuru has nothing to do with me. I slowly got up, changed into a set of clothes, then went to the bathroom to wash my face. After finishing everything, I took the milk and bread out of the microwave. While eating, I packed my final luggage. After I finished packing, the whole house was empty. I turned to look at the empty room, then took out my phone and blocked all phone numbers and accounts related to Suyuru. After doing all this, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. I dragged my suitcase, turned around, and left towards my bright and new life. On the other side, it was 5 minutes to 9. The square was packed with people, so crowded you couldn't squeeze through. Even the security guards came to maintain order at the scene. Looking at the bustling sea of people downstairs, my roommates all clicked their tongues slightly, stunned. Their voices carried a hint of excitement. So many people. What happens later will surely spread throughout the school quickly. That's for the best. So after Hayachin leaves, people won't still be gossiping about me behind my back. As they chatted back and forth, it quickly came to 8:59. The club president received news that I had arrived safely at the airport. He immediately rolled up his sleeves and shouted, Hayachin has arrived. Let's get to work. The throwers and the photographers. Everyone get fired up. We have to let him see this spectacular scene before he boards the plane. As soon as he finished speaking, the 9 o'clock bell rang. 2 guys, one on the left and one on the right, each got into position. They pushed the stacks of cards placed on the windowsill. In an instant, white cards fluttered down like snow from the 16th floor rooftop. Swirling as they fell onto the square, some nearsighted student shouted, "It's snowing." Everyone looked up. When the cards were about to land, the people below all stood on tiptoe to grab them, wanting to see what was written on them. And in the center of the square, Suaru also looked up with her close friends. Watching this magnificent scene, they all praised it with admiration. Scattering this many, there must be 10,000 cards. Right, Zhang Hayachin really put his heart into this. You have to consider Urus' popularity, making such a big scene. How else can he declare his sovereignty and intimidate his rivals? That's true. But what's actually written on these papers, judging by his previous love letters, his writing is quite good. Could these be 10,000 handwritten love letters? With his patience and perseverance, it's quite possible. Let me grab one and take a look. Hearing the admiring tones of her friends, Suyura's heart was also filled with anticipation. She reached out and caught a card, smiling as she flipped it over. When she saw the words on it, the expression on her face immediately froze. Her friends beside her all leaned in, wanting to tease her a bit. But after glancing at the words on the paper, their eyes widened. They stuttered. This can't be. It must be. It must be a mistake. A mistake. While comforting her, they picked up the ones that had fallen on the ground to show Suuru, but the newly picked up cards all had the same printed words. I, Zhang Hayochin, will never like Suuru again. This time, everyone was completely panicked. They hurriedly snatched cards from the hands of the audience members nearby. But after getting them and seeing the content, the horror in their hearts grew relentlessly. How could this be? Esmint. Isn't this a confession? What the hell is this? Is someone deliberately causing trouble? While they were still trying to find this excuse, the surrounding crowd had each gotten a card and started shouting loudly, "Whoa, Zhang Hayachin will never like Suyuru again, so this wasn't a confession. Damn. He tricked everyone into coming here. Just to clarify this, with so much publicity, the whole school knows now. Great. It's over now. Zhang Hayachin is no longer being pestered by someone, teasing us." Amidst the growing sarcastic remarks, Suyura's face gradually lost its color. She just felt like something was blocking her heart, and she couldn't breathe properly. Her brain lacked oxygen, leaving only a blank space. Her hands clenched a stack of papers tightly, her knuckles turning pale from the excessive force. Her chest heaved violently. She looked up, staring at the rooftop where papers were still being scattered. Her eyes were filled with shock and panic. Thousands of people in the square stood on tiptoe, wanting to see her reaction, and she didn't disappoint everyone's expectations. Throwing down what was in her hands and striding into the main building, the onlookers hurriedly followed. After throwing down the last stack of papers, they prepared to wrap up, but as they reached the door, they heard a rumbling from below. The elevator wasn't coming up, so they prepared to take the stairs down. Just as they reached the 15th floor, they ran into Suyuru. She was leading her friends up the stairs. As soon as she saw them, she blocked their way. A few seconds later, the large crowd of onlookers also followed them upstairs, facing the aggressive girl. They weren't afraid at all. "Isn't this our King University's campus bell? Didn't you say you don't care about Hayachin? Why come to watch this boring drama?" Hearing this sarcastic tone, Suyura's hands suddenly clenched into fists. Her expression instantly turned cold. "Did you guys scatter these on your own?" Hearing the words "on your own," the three guys couldn't help but laugh. Laughing, how would we dare? Hayachin spent a lot of money to print these himself. He went through the trouble of bringing them to school. At most, we're just considered the movers helping him make a clean break. Hearing that this was indeed my handwriting, the students below all whispered among themselves. Doesn't Suyuru dislike Zhang Hayachin? Why is it that after he gave up on her, she seems so unwilling to let go? What do you know? In our novel world, this is called the High Mountain Flower, being pulled down from her pedestal. Now she has to pursue him back in agony. If you ask me, if she regrets it now, it truly serves her right. She deserves to be humiliated like this. What was she doing for the previous 99 times? These wild guesses fell into Suyura's heart like sharp blades, piercing through the confidence she had held for so long. For the past 2 years, she thought she knew me like the back of her hand, that she could easily grasp my thoughts and actions. And the truth was just as she had predicted. The previous 99 confessions all ended smoothly. She thought everything would end with the 100th time, and that she and I could have a perfect ending. But at the moment she was most confident, I used a way to announce it to the world, dealing her a fatal blow. She could no longer pretend to be as cold and indifferent as before, with an expression as calm as drifting clouds and flowing water. Instead, her true nature was completely exposed. She gripped the stair railing, her rushed voice tinged with panic. "Where is he?" The club president looked at her face, a triumphant smile appearing on his. He raised his hand and made a flapping gesture. "The confession is over, of course." He flew away. Suyuru subconsciously felt that he was lying to her, but when she heard the last 2 words, her heart stopped for a few seconds. "What do you mean?" "Flew away." She suddenly had an ominous feeling. She pushed aside the guys blocking her way and ran to the rooftop. The rooftop was empty. There wasn't a single person there, but the stairs and elevators were packed with people. There was no way he could have gone down. Did he not come to school today? After realizing this, memories in Suyura's mind quickly replayed. 8:30 arrive at school. 8:00 leave the house. 7:30 finish picking clothes. Remembering from this moment back to last night when she saw him downstairs, the last time, she finally realized where the problem was. He had planned all of this. He should have gone out early to prepare. But since last night, there hasn't been any sound from the opposite apartment. Either he went out after me, or he never intended to come to school himself. He went to so much trouble to get revenge on me, so why didn't he come to witness all of this himself? Suyuru couldn't figure it out. She clutched her pounding chest, suddenly feeling something inside her body draining away quickly. She was terrified and uneasy, yet powerless to stop it. The congested crowd in the main building was finally dispersed, surrounded by her friends. Suyuru went downstairs. At a glance, she saw 7 or 8 cleaning workers sweeping up the papers on the ground. She blankly bent down and picked up a card covered in footprints. When she saw the words on it, she felt a different mood. The previous anger and shock had turned into boundless panic and fear, a feeling that things had gone beyond her control, rushing in an unpredictable direction. Panic and the unknown awaited her, the fear of an even heavier blow. Her friends saw this expression on her face for the first time, racking their brains for a way to console her. "It's okay. Uru, Zhang Hayachin, pulling a stunt like this. He's definitely still angry about being reported last time. Go back and explain it clearly to him. Tell him everything you've kept in your heart. He likes you so much. He'll definitely forgive you." Yes. He's pursued you for 2 years and confessed 99 times. Just coax him a little, and I'll be fine. Although everyone was advising her with good intentions, Suyura's sixth sense told her that this time was different from before. She couldn't suppress the panic in her heart, nor did she want to hear their constant noise in her ears. In her frustration, she drove straight back to the apartment, wanting to find me and ask for a clear explanation. 10:30. After she parked her car and walked to the apartment complex gate, she saw the cleaning staff clearing the trash cans. She suddenly recalled the image from yesterday of him squatting on the ground, burning something. At that time, She felt something was off about him, but didn't ask for the reason. Now she wanted to see what exactly he had burned, but the cleaning staff had already placed new trash cans and driven away. Suyuru could only take that cart upstairs. As soon as the elevator door opened, she was blocked inside by several large luggage boxes at the door. The guy next to her, seeing she couldn't get out, hurriedly apologized. Coming up here to open the luggage, she guessed this must be the new neighbor who moved into the apartment next door. Remembering that her leg injury hadn't healed, she planned to use it as an excuse to remind him to come out. Under the guise of being careful, she wanted to find him to talk, but as soon as she reached her own door, she noticed the opposite door was ajar. She raised her hand to knock. It was very quiet inside, no sound of people. This unusual silence made Suyuru frown unconsciously. She was about to push the door open to see, when a male voice suddenly came from behind her. "Are you the neighbor from across the hall?" "Hello. I'm from 1705, the new resident. Please take care of me." 1700. Hearing this number, Suyuru subconsciously glanced at the sign on the door. The next second, her whole body stood frozen like a statue. The guy from before pushed his suitcase over, still enthusiastically introducing himself. Suyuru didn't hear a single word. She blankly turned around, staring at him. Her finger pointed to the number 805 on the left. 805. New resident. Then where is the person who lived here before? The guy wiped the sweat off his face. His eyes filled with joy. The agent said, "He moved out this morning. Do you know him? Could you give me his contact information? He seemed to be in a hurry to leave. This apartment was listed at a very low price. I got a great deal. I wanted to thank him for it." Just a few short sentences completely numbed Suyuru's mind. She stood stunned for a long time, then suddenly reacted. She leaned over and forcefully pushed open the ajar door. The room was empty. Other than the standard furniture, there wasn't a single personal item. Clean, like a new house. The guy didn't notice her increasingly pale face. Still grinning. "It's clean." "Huh," the agent said. "That guy cleaned for 3 days. Because it was inconvenient to take them, he threw away a lot of things." Suyuru didn't know how she got home. When she realized it, she found herself collapsed in the entryway, her legs numb from squatting. Her whole body was as if it had been pulled out of water. Agol. Completely drenched. Her sweat-soaked clothes clung to her body, incredibly cold. It made her shiver involuntarily from the cold. She took out her phone to find my WeChat, trembling as she typed a few words. "Why did you move?" The moment she hit send, a small red dot appeared on the screen, and 2 lines of notification. "Not a friend." This red color fell upon her eyes, stabbing her vision, making her gaze freeze for a few seconds. Then, as if disbelieving the truth, she sent a few more messages. A few more notifications popped up in succession. Looking at the phone screen, she felt as if she was choking, her throat almost unable to breathe. She squeezed her own neck, her face quickly turning red just as she was about to suffocate. The phone rang. She let go of her hand to answer it, but her roommate's panicked cry rang in her ear. "Uru, it's bad. Zhang Haochin, he went to Italy. Just now. Huzai and I were at the notice board, and we saw his name on the exchange student list." This sentence was like a thunderclap, stirring up overwhelming waves in Suyuru's heart. She wanted to use the cabinet to stand up, but her long, numb legs completely disobeyed. She fell straight to the ground, her forehead hitting the corner of the wall perfectly, creating a bloody hole. Fresh blood gushed out. The fallen phone next to her transmitted a clamor. "What's wrong with you? We're coming over right now." But Suyuru no longer had the mind to understand what they were saying. She raised her hand to cover the wound, only feeling as if ants were gnawing inside her head. The pain from her nerves was almost unbearable. She curled into a ball, letting out painful sounds and whispers from her throat before completely losing consciousness. Her last conscious thought was a sentence that she had seen countless times today, a sentence deeply etched in her heart. "I, Zhang Haochin, will never like Suyuru again." Suyuru was seriously injured. Although she was lucky to survive, she still had to be admitted to the intensive care unit. When she woke up, she discovered that it was 3 days later. Her friends leaned against her hospital bed, sighing in relief. Then they rambled on about her fainting and what had happened in the past few days. According to the information they gathered, Zhang Haochin had arrived in Italy 3 days ago, but he had not yet completed his enrollment procedures there. They heard that after the list was announced, someone came to the school to report that he had cheated on an exam not long ago, so his study abroad spot should be cancelled. If the spot is cancelled, he'll definitely have to come back. "Uru, don't worry, he can't run away." Suyuru's heart pounded. Her eyes suddenly widened. He went to Italy, cheating on an exam. Spot cancelled. Coming back. She still hadn't calmed down from this huge amount of information when there was a knock on the door. A roommate ran to open the door, and the other 3 looked over. They immediately saw King University's famous Professor Chen Zhuo walk in with a cold face. He glanced at the person on the hospital bed, his aura imposing without being angry. It made others afraid to look directly at him. "You are Suyuru. I heard that you testified in the plagiarism case between Haochin and Chu Mushing. I need to talk to you." Hearing this, the roommates didn't dare to stay, hurriedly leaving the hospital room. Watching the door slowly being pulled shut, Suyuru slightly lifted her chin. "Yes, I received an affirmative answer. Professor Chen's face immediately showed anger. His voice deliberately emphasized a few points. Hyachin told me that you gave false testimony, such a big matter, and you dared to falsify it. Do you know what kind of impact this will have on his future? Because of the plagiarism accusation, his exchange student spot will be cancelled. To quell public opinion, the Academy is still discussing his expulsion. Once the document is issued, plus the online controversy he caused because of you last time, his entire life will be ruined by you. He likes you, but think about it. Has he done anything to wrong you in these 2 years? Do you hate him that much? Must you push him into a corner? If you still have a shred of human conscience, then hurry and tell the school the truth. Otherwise, it's not just him, but I and the entire Design Academy will be ruined by your one lie. Hearing these words, Su Eru just felt her head buzzing. Her heart instantly panicked. At that time, she was just angry that he didn't choose. She was still sulking at him. He probably came to make up. That's why she tricked Teacher Zhao. She never expected it to cause such a huge chain reaction, and she didn't dare to imagine, if everything developed as Professor Chen predicted, what the final outcome would be. If I really ruined his future, then with his personality, I'm afraid he would hate her to death for the rest of his life. Lovers become enemies. This was something Su Uru would rather die than accept. She no longer cared about the wound on her forehead, struggling to get up. I wanted to go to school with Professor Chen to clarify the truth. As soon as we left the room, we were stopped by the medical staff. The doctors didn't dare let me go. They tried to persuade me one after another, but I didn't listen to a single word. I was determined to return to the university. Professor Chen had already made contact in advance. The person in charge of the disciplinary committee, Su Yuru, in front of the dean of the design department and teacher Zhao, pointed out that Chu Musheng cheated. Chu Musheng didn't expect her to suddenly go back on her word. He panicked instantly. He hurriedly denied it was him. Teacher Zhao also didn't expect her to retract her statement. For a moment, he didn't know whether to believe her or not. Suiru glanced coldly at Chu Musheng, who was endlessly proclaiming his innocence. She opened her phone and took out a photo. This is a letter that Chu Musheng wrote to me by hand before. My family will bring the original later. Everyone can compare the handwriting on the letter and the note. Hearing this, Chu Musheng's face immediately froze. It became extremely distorted. He staggered a few steps. He trembled under the stern gazes of the leaders. Uru, it's me, Musheng. Have you forgotten that we grew up together? This is already in the past. Why are you lying? Suiru saw that despite the clear evidence, he was still trying to deny it. A flash of disgust appeared in her eyes. I have never liked you. Before, it was all just an act. Now, I don't want to act anymore. Of course, I won't cover for you anymore. What you've done, you must take full responsibility for your actions. As soon as she finished speaking, the Su family brought the original document. After a careful comparison, the handwriting on the note was indeed Chu Musheng's. The disciplinary committee immediately held a meeting. They decided to announce it to the entire university to clarify the truth. Because the impact was so severe, Chu Musheng was expelled from the university, and the incident was recorded in his permanent file. When everything was over, it was already dark. Su Aru walked out, leaning against the wall. She called out to Professor Chen. Professor Chen, Hyachin, does he know what happened here yet? Although the matter was resolved perfectly, Professor Chen was still furious and couldn't stand the sight of her. He was almost expelled. How could he not know? Have you lost your mind? Being scolded like that, Su Uru felt even more upset, but she still wanted to explain a few things. So, now that it's resolved, will he come back? Professor Chen glared at her. His tone was full of pride. There is only one spot like this in the entire design department. Hyachin earned it with his own abilities. He will focus on his studies in Italy for 3 years. When he returns, his future will be limitless. Why should he come back? Besides, Than University has people like you. He's better off not coming back. If I had known he was possessed, to fall for someone like you, I would have had a proper talk with him about finding a girlfriend back then. He needs to open his eyes wide and see clearly. Elsewhere, when I received the call from Professor Chen telling me everything was fine, I was sunbathing on the beach. I don't know how he made Su Uru tell the truth, and I didn't want to ask. I just sincerely expressed my gratitude to him. Professor Chen gave me a few more instructions, and then hurried off to a meeting. I enjoyed the sea breeze, took a sip of the fruit juice next to me, and leisurely leaned back on my beach chair. I arrived in Italy 3 days ago. I originally planned to complete the enrollment procedures right away, but the university called back home to verify the situation, and suddenly informed me that there was a problem with my spot. I couldn't enroll for the time being. I asked my roommate and found out I had been secretly reported. So I went to Professor Chen, explained the situation, and asked for his help. Although Professor Chen is a prestigious figure at Than University, I knew this matter would be very difficult to resolve, and I was prepared for the storm. I have to say, ever since I met Su Yuru, my ability to handle pressure has clearly improved. Now, facing the serious consequence of possible expulsion. I can take it in stride. I no longer see it as a big deal. I even had the state of mind to buy a plane ticket that very night to the Aegean Sea for a short vacation. Now that everything has been resolved, I am completely relaxed, wondering which day I should go back to finish the pending procedures. He was looking at plane tickets when a message tagging at Heachin suddenly appeared in the dorm group chat. Su-uru just came to the dorm looking for us, saying she wanted to ask for your contact information. She said she wanted to apologize. We didn't fall for it. You can rest assured, we didn't reveal a single digit. You have no idea how haggard she looks now. She even has bandages wrapped around her head. I heard she was in the ICU a few days ago. It's true what they say. What goes around comes around. She really deserved it. Seeing these lively, sarcastic words, an image immediately formed in my mind of Su-uru asking for my new number and being rejected. The corners of my mouth lifted into a smile. I hummed a tune and sent a big red envelope to the group. Thank you, everyone, for helping me these past few days. The matter has been settled. When the 3 years are up, I'll treat you all to a meal when I get back, to express my gratitude in person. My roommates knew I've always been generous, so they didn't stand on ceremony, and all accepted the red envelope. I was also very happy to have met such good roommates and a great professor. After booking the next flight back to Milan, I stretched and stood up and walked towards the hotel on the soft sand. Behind me, the waves lapped against the shore one after another. A seagull perched on the beach umbrella. The warm sunlight shone down, making one feel warm. It was truly a rare, beautiful day. This time, the enrollment process went very smoothly. There were no more problems. I looked at the stamped documents and the new student ID in my hand with a satisfied expression. The staff member with me asked if I would be staying in the dormitory or finding my own apartment, because I wasn't used to the complex international student dorms. So before I came here, I had asked my family to buy a small apartment near the school. So I immediately went there with my suitcase. After arriving, I looked at the stairs in front of me and then tried to lift the heavy suitcase. I sighed. I was wondering if I should pay someone to help me, when a beautiful female voice suddenly spoke up next to me. I looked towards the voice and saw a very beautiful young woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, asking me in English if I needed help. I nodded hurriedly. The beautiful girl then helped me lift the luggage, and we went up the stairs, chatting with me as we walked. By the time we reached the apartment door, we had just finished introducing ourselves. I bowed to thank her, but she showed me her slightly red hand and joked good-naturedly, "I've helped you. I'm afraid a simple thank you won't be enough. Right, if it's convenient, could you give me one of your business cards?" Hearing this request, I was stunned for a moment, but I quickly reacted. I rummaged through my bag, but after searching for a while, I couldn't find any cards. I could only apologize with a guilty expression. The beautiful girl, however, didn't seem to mind. She took out a pen from somewhere and held the back of her hand in front of me. "Could you please write your phone number on my hand?" I hesitated for a few seconds, but still took the pen and wrote a long string of numbers on her slender, jade-like hand. After moving into the new apartment, I was busy for a few days, finally getting the place in order. In the evening, I received a message that this batch of international exchange students had completed their registration. Tomorrow, there would be a welcome assembly in the lecture hall. I noted the time and went out early the next day. Although I've been free these past few days and have walked around the campus, but because the university is so big and the architectural styles are so similar, I still got lost. Seeing that it was almost time, I was about to find someone to ask for directions when my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. After thinking for a few seconds, I still answered the call. A very familiar voice sounded in my ear, but I couldn't remember who it was. While I was still wondering, my shoulder was suddenly tapped by someone from behind. I turned around and saw the beautiful girl who had helped me a few days ago. Alex was smiling and greeting me, with her phone still held to her ear. Only then did I realize that it was her number. A look of pleasant surprise appeared on my face. We high-fived. Alex asked me what I was spacing out for. I honestly told her the trouble I was in. When she heard lecture hall, she immediately said she had to go there too, and could lead the way for me. I didn't doubt her. The two of us walked through the maze-like academy, laughing and talking happily along the way. After walking for about 10 minutes, Alex pointed to the building in front of us and told me. I took out my phone to check. It was indeed identical to the picture of the building my classmate had sent. I hurriedly waved and thanked Alex. This welcome assembly lasted for 2 hours. When I came out of the lecture hall, my back was sore. I was wondering where to eat for lunch, when someone suddenly appeared in front of me. Alex smiled and greeted me, asking if I had any plans for lunch. I was having a headache over this very issue. She saw my trouble and smilingly recommended a restaurant to me, inviting me to go with her. I agreed and followed her out of the school. When we got to the restaurant's entrance, I realized it was a Chinese restaurant. A flicker of doubt appeared in my eyes. "You want to treat me to Chinese food? Are you used to eating it? I heard you guys aren't very used to the food here. I hope to have a pleasant dining experience today, and I also want to try Chinese food, so I chose this restaurant." I didn't expect her to be so thoughtful and didn't want to disappoint her good intentions, so I smiled and replied to her, "Then this place it is. I can be considered a semi-host host, so let me treat you to this meal. I hope to give you a good experience with Chinese food. We walked into the restaurant while chatting and found a place to sit. I took the menu. Alex was very interested in these dishes, so I introduced them to her one by one and then ordered 5 dishes because of her lively yet polite personality. This meal was indeed very pleasant. We talked about the cultural differences between the East and the West, and also about interesting things that had recently happened at school. We quickly became close. After lunch, Alex walked me back to my apartment. When we were parting, she showed a reluctant expression and politely extended an invitation. This weekend, would I have the honor of inviting you for afternoon tea? The weekend had rare, beautiful weather, so I happily accepted and chatted leisurely with Alex in a garden cafe. A flock of white doves flew to the lake, and a feather gently landed in her hair. Seeing this, Alex smiled and stood up, wanting to remove it from me. We were standing very close to each other, looking very intimate from a distance. I looked up with smiling eyes. Thanks. I had just said it, when my eyes glanced to the left, and my gaze immediately froze. The person standing at the door, with a bandaged forehead, the woman with an indescribably haggard face. Why does she look so much like Su Yuru? Before I could get a clear look, that woman had already stormed over. She looked down with her bloodshot eyes, looking down from above at the delicious dessert table. Her furious gaze swept over the two of us, demanding to know who she was. Hearing this familiar voice, I was certain it was Su Yuru. Although I didn't know how she knew I was here, I wasn't surprised by her appearance at all. I knew one day she would chase me all the way to Italy. After all, in Su Yuru's eyes, I am prey that she can easily capture. She would never let me out of her sight. I was already prepared for our reunion. So, facing her terrible attitude, I appeared extremely calm. A new friend. Is there a problem? Friends. What friends? It's your girlfriend, isn't it? The last few words, Su Yuru practically ground out through her teeth. She couldn't believe that she had dragged her severely injured body, flying thousands of miles, wanting to explain things clearly to me, to confess everything, only to find me on a date with another woman. He's only been abroad for a few days and already found a new love. Didn't he like her for 2 years? Refusing to give up even after being rejected 99 times. Didn't he say we would be together on the 100th time? Why did you go back on your word? You don't keep your promises. Realizing this, the flame of anger in Su Yuru's chest burned even more fiercely, her tone filled with pain and indignation. Have you forgotten? I didn't give her a chance to rehash the past, interrupting her immediately. Chasing you wasn't exactly a glorious thing, so what if I've forgotten? Shouldn't I forget? Besides your face, you have nothing special about you. I don't like it anymore. I want to change my taste. Do I have to ask for your permission? My words left Su Yuru speechless. She looked at me in disbelief, her eyes filled with suspicion. Hayachin, what on earth have you been through these past few days? We clearly said, I've been living very well these past few days. Eating well, drinking well, sleeping well. Thanks to you, I even have time to travel. On the contrary, your sudden appearance has made me a little unhappy. If you can take a hint, then please leave this cafe. Honestly, you've disturbed me and this beautiful lady while we're dining. When I said these words, my tone was very light, but my expression was extremely nonchalant. This cold attitude of kicking someone out made Su Yuru's already pale face turn even paler. At this moment, she finally realized that things had truly spun out of her control. Her emotions became even more agitated. With one hand, she grabbed my hand and began to explain incoherently. I was wrong before. I shouldn't have taken advantage of your sincere feelings. Sorry. Hayachin, please forgive me. Can you give me another chance? In my eye, this apology of hers had not a shred of sincerity. I was rejected in front of everyone 99 times. Can a single apology from her make everything go away? What a fantasy. Daydreaming. Looking at her trembling hand, I frowned, my tone full of ridicule. I wouldn't dare accept an apology from the campus belle. You can rest assured, from now on, we are strangers. You don't have to worry about me pestering you anymore. Seeing the determination in my eyes, Su Yuru knew I wasn't joking. She was extremely panicked. Her hand tightened unconsciously, gripping so hard that it made me frown. Alex didn't understand our conversation and at first thought we were friends, just greeting each other. Seeing that the situation was not right, she quickly stood up, wanting to help me get away. This action, to the panicked and restless Su Yuru, was a provocation. Without thinking, she swatted Alex's hand away. Alex was pushed and staggered a few steps. Su Yuru glanced at her coldly a few times and tried to pull me away. She steadied herself against the wall and, seeing my resistant expression, immediately rushed forward again and slapped Su Yuru straight across the face. The two of them immediately started fighting. The once peaceful garden corner instantly became chaotic. Tables and chairs were overturned on the ground, a mess everywhere. The nearby potted plant was also knocked over. Many customers, afraid of getting involved, rushed out the door one after another. The owner on the second floor immediately called the police. This place was in the city center, so the police arrived very quickly. They separated the two women who were fighting with bloodshot eyes and took them to the police station together. The bandage on Su Yuru's head was completely ripped off, revealing a very scary wound, which made the police officer's heart pound. He subconsciously assumed that Alex was bullying a patient. Alex tried hard to explain. Su Yuru, with a bruised face, refused to back down, insisting that she had struck first. The two argued for a long time. The police officer's eardrums were about to burst, and they still couldn't figure out who was right and who was wrong. Helplessly, he could only turn to the third party, who was also the only witness at the scene. "Sir, could you please describe the situation at the scene of the incident? Is that okay?" Hearing this question, the two of them turned around in unison, both locking their anxious gazes on me. From the moment they started fighting, I had stepped aside to avoid getting hurt by mistake. During the brawl, I didn't say a single word to stop them, watching them vent their anger on each other. Now that I could no longer stay out of it, I didn't hesitate. I raised my hand and pointed straight at Suyuru. Without blinking an eye, she was the one who pushed first. Hearing this, Suyuru stood frozen on the spot, unable to believe that I would point the finger at her. She stared at me blankly, her voice even trembling. I only pushed her once. It was clearly her who hit first. "Hayachin, why would you?" Her words trailed off abruptly. A flash of realization went through Suyuru's mind, and in an instant, she understood why I had said that. I was getting revenge on her. I wanted her to taste what it's like to be wronged and framed. Realizing this, she couldn't speak anymore. She just felt a tightness in her chest and couldn't breathe. The police officer didn't understand this Chinese sentence and wanted to ask me to translate. I directly denied any relationship between us. I was having a meal with Alex. She barged in and started trouble, disregarding my wishes, and wanted to forcibly take me away. Then she pushed someone, which is why they started fighting. The last glimmer of hope in Suyuru's heart was completely extinguished. She opened her mouth, her voice hoarse and weak. "From now on, you will never be on my side again." "Right." I glared at her with disgust and let out a cold laugh. "I am an honest person. I only stand on the side of the truth." Suyuru still wouldn't give up and asked another question. "So if she had pushed me first today, would you have honestly told the truth? Is that even a question? We're not close, are we? Alex is still young and thin-skinned. Of course I have to protect my friends." Leaving her with those words, I couldn't be bothered to care about her expression and turned to leave. With the testimony, plus the quickly retrieved surveillance footage, the truth was quickly revealed. Suyuru, being a foreigner causing a disturbance, was taken into custody. I waited for Alex to come out, thank and apologize to her, then apologize again. She waved her hand, not minding these small injuries. Instead, she said today's date was disturbed and wanted to invite me to meet again next week. I thought carefully for a moment, although Alice is very beautiful, but looking at what happened today, she seems not rational and mature enough. I know Suyuru won't let it go so easily. I also don't want to drag her into this, and I certainly don't want to go to the police station a few more times. I can guess she has other thoughts about her, but the current me will no longer act on impulse. So in the end, I still politely refused Suyuru. She had to pull a lot of strings to have someone bail her out. She wandered aimlessly alone on the streets, not knowing where to go. Just thinking back on the things that happened during this time, she felt her whole heart was being roasted on a fire. In extreme agony, overwhelming regret crashed into her heart like a tide, completely drowning her. She desperately wanted to go back to the scene of my 99th confession and agree to be with me on the spot to express her feelings. Then there wouldn't have been this series of storms later on. I wouldn't have given up on her either, and we could have been together. But the cold wind and late-night drizzle shattered her illusions. She looked at the incessant light rain and finally realized that everything had reached a point of no return. Even so, she still didn't want to give up. She had a secret crush for 2 years, waited for 2 years. She absolutely wouldn't allow all her expectations to be shattered. She swore to find a way to win me back, just like how I pursued her, using 100 hearts to exchange for my forgiveness once. Just once. Once is enough. For the next half-month, I didn't see Suyuru. Life got back on track, but then she asked me out twice. After I refused, our relationship just ended like that. I wasn't sad about this fleeting romance either. The normal days of exchange and study were very fulfilling. In a foreign land, I knew a little about cooking, so I quickly integrated into the circle of international students. Just when I was about to forget Suyuru, she suddenly appeared again, bringing several cars of roses and balloons, and blocked me at school. Me, looking at the curious gazes from all around, I was at a loss for words for a moment. Suyuru didn't even look at my expression. Seizing the opportunity, she immediately poured out the words hidden in her heart. "Hayachin, if I also pursue you 100 times, will you be willing to give me another chance?" If it were me a few months ago, hearing these words, I would surely be moved to tears. But the current me is not only indifferent, but it also gives me goosebumps. Such a cliché plot, such cheesy lines. Was I possessed back then, to be able to confess publicly so many times? Thinking back on the past, I don't even have any regrets in my heart, only the inability to face it remains. If I had a chance to travel back in time, I would definitely do my best to dissuade the me who fell for Suyuru at first sight, expose her true colors, and not be so foolish for so long. 2 years, more than 700 days wasted on someone not worth it. What a pity. I was still regretting, completely not hearing what the person in front of me was saying. After waiting for a long time without a reply, Suyuru's heart grew more and more frantic. Her whole body became flustered and uneasy, looking around to see if she had done something wrong. But after checking for a while, she couldn't find any mistakes. She could only look at me nervously, but as soon as she lowered her eyes, I immediately avoided her gaze, turned and waved towards the distance, my tone full of surprise. "Hi. Yang La, Songjing Nian, where are you two going?" She also followed my gaze, only to discover I was greeting someone else. This attitude of treating her like she was thin air made Su Yura's heart feel like it had fallen into an ice cellar. Her expression immediately became extremely ugly, trying to force out a few words from between her teeth, wanting to get my attention back. "Hayachin." I haven't finished speaking. The girl named Yang Ali walked over, her tone sounding very familiar. "We're planning to go camping. Hayachin, are you coming with us? The sky is clear, and I don't have other plans for the weekend." I have no reason to refuse, so I happily agreed. Songjing Nian had already guessed I would agree, and conveniently wanted to take the bag from my hand. I didn't refuse either, and handed the bag straight to him, smilingly asking about her plans for tonight. Neither of them glanced at Su Yuru, talking amongst themselves, and joined the camping group. Watching the group's figures gradually walk away, Su Yura's face suddenly turned extremely pale. She clenched her fists, looking at Yang Li, her eyes filled with unwillingness and jealousy. Su Yuru followed us from behind, all the way to the suburbs. Across a river, she could clearly see everything happening on the opposite bank. 7 or 8 international students were gathered, grilling meat and chatting. The party games looked incredibly lively. She couldn't fit in and could only watch from afar. But the more she watched, the more her heart ached. No matter what I did, that girl named Yang Li was always by my side. The distance between them never exceeded 10 steps, and they were getting closer and closer. This intimate attitude, different from the others, made Su Yura's eyes red with jealousy. She wished she could go over there and pull me away immediately. But if she really did that, she would definitely make me angry. She didn't want the relationship between us to become more tense, so she couldn't do anything to add fuel to the fire. She could only swallow the complex emotions burning in her heart, telling herself to endure it. She endured it like that for 6 whole hours. The sky gradually darkened. The other side lit a campfire and held a party. It was extremely lively, perhaps because it was too noisy. I wasn't used to it. So I went to the riverbank alone, wanting to get some air. Su Yuru seized the opportunity to come to my side and called out to me. "Hayachin, I have something to say to you." I was in a good mood today, but looking at her was still not very pleasant. My tone wasn't very good. "Sorry, I don't really want to listen." After saying that, I was about to leave. Su Yuru immediately panicked and grabbed my arm, her eyes full of desperation. "Just give me a few minutes. Hayachin, there are things I've wanted to say for a very long time." Hearing this, I finally raised my head to look at her, but my expression was very strained. "A very long time ago." What words? It couldn't be. That nonsense about falling in love with me at first sight 2 years ago. Right. By the end, my voice carried a mocking tone. Su Yuru, on the other hand, looked like she was struck by lightning, standing frozen on the spot. She couldn't believe she would hear it from my mouth, the secret she thought she had hidden so well. I didn't care about her mood. The sarcastic smile on my face grew wider. "Su Yuru, think about it yourself. If you say those words, let alone me, if it were anyone else, even you yourself, would you dare to believe it? Whose secret crush can be hidden for 2 years without a single flaw? Who would publicly, to satisfy their own pride, reject their crush confession 99 times? Who could, in the face of all dangers and suffering, without missing a single time, push the person they like to the opposite side? Is this love? It must be deep hatred." Right. Hearing my mocking words, Su Yuru only felt her ears ringing and her mind go blank. She tried to deny everything, but in the end, she couldn't come up with a single word of justification, only able to say weak, meaningless words. "It's not like that. Hayachin, I really like you. Everyone around me knows. They can all vouch for me. Since I don't know, what does who you like have to do with me? Anyway, from my perspective, the person you've liked from beginning to end is Chu Musheng. You should go find him and confess your infatuation. Express your feelings. You two are such a good match." Disgusting me from beginning to end, the undisguised look of disgust on my face became the last straw that broke Su Yuru. Her body trembled uncontrollably, but she still refused to let go, stubbornly wanting to hold me back. I didn't have the patience to keep getting entangled with her, so I pulled my hand away and turned to leave. The moment our hands separated, she felt as if she was about to lose everything. Her heart ached incessantly. The strength in her body vanished in an instant. She staggered, as if about to fall. I expertly pretended not to see, and walked briskly back to the crowd, without looking back once. I thought that as long as I made things clear, Su Yuru would give up. But I quickly realized, this person's mind doesn't listen to others. Saying anything is useless. For the next few months, whenever I went out, I would definitely see her figure within 20 meters. Every few days, she would bring something she made before me, beautifully calling it the first confession, the second confession, the third. I can hardly remember the count anymore. Faced with her stubborn actions, I always acted indifferent, showing no reaction. If I could pretend not to see, I would. If it really wasn't possible, ID call security. Going back and forth like this, the whole school knew. And this character, Su Yuru, also knew about her relentless stalking, so wherever she went, there were people pointing fingers, but she didn't care, only focused on following my back. She thought that as long as she persisted, one day she would move me. But reality was far beyond her imagination. Not only did I show no signs of being moved, I also accepted other women's displays of affection right in front of her. I am very handsome, have a good personality, and my family is quite wealthy, so as soon as I appear, I can attract everyone's attention, and I've never lacked pursuers around me. Before, to reassure her, I would firmly reject the feelings of other girls and be completely devoted to her. But now, I don't refuse anyone except her. No matter who gave me flowers, I would always accept them with a smile and thank each one, as if intentionally provoking her. Suyuru could only watch helplessly as I became closer and closer to other members of the opposite sex, unable to do anything. Between us, from beginning to end, was only a normal classmate relationship. She had no right to interfere with my social freedom. This point was made when she once got drunk and lost control, and hit a woman who gave me flowers. I slapped her and said it myself. Day by day, although the slap mark has faded, those words were like an imprint carved deep into her heart, becoming a white silk ribbon hanging over her head, a needle piercing her body, making her remember it to the bone. Unforgettable. Gradually, Su-uru started to get used to the scene of me being surrounded by everyone like a star. She also had to admit, what I said was right. I was never her possession. After being rejected time and time again, she gradually became numb. No matter what hurtful words I said, or what kind of look I gave, she no longer felt heartbroken. She counted the times from 1 to 50, from winter to spring, and then to early summer. She thought the days would just pass by peacefully like this. From 50 to 100, maybe there would even be a 101st time. Suaru never intended to give up. Just when she thought she could truly take everything lightly, a mishap occurred. I appeared before her, holding a woman's hand, and said with a smile to the person next to me, "This is my girlfriend." At that moment, Suyuru felt as if the sky was falling. She thought I was just mingling among those women, just putting on a show for her. She never thought I would one day agree to be with someone else. And when that day happened before her eyes, the blood in her body boiled, and she instantly lost her reason, charging straight forward, wanting to demand an explanation. Before she even got close, she was stopped by the patrolling guards. Through a human wall, with red eyes, she screamed hoarsely, "Why?" My gaze rested on her for a second, my tone indifferent. I'm young and rich, and have a lot of free time, dating a beautiful woman. So what does it have to do with you? Suyuru was devastated by this for a long time. She drank alone at a bar, getting drunk every night, and no one cared. Every day when she woke up, she looked at the empty surroundings, and couldn't help but sink into feelings of sorrow. Far from home, the loneliness of having no relatives, and the pain of unrequited love all became an irremovable thorn in her heart. Occasionally, when she drank too much, she would have reckless thoughts, wanting to find me, to beg me to break up. But every time she got close to me and saw me holding hands with my new girlfriend, smiling brightly, she would lose the courage to step forward. Suyuru has known me for 2 years, but she had never seen such a happy smile on my face, because the days we were together couldn't even be called normal. More accurately, they were painful days that were hard to look back on. She felt so much pain just from seeing me with someone else. So what kind of mood was I in when I saw her in Chumasheng before? Until today, Suiru could finally empathize, but everything was too late. She didn't listen to the advice of friends and family, insisting on staying in Milan to find an ending. The days passed so slowly, yet so quickly. When the summer heat faded, Su-uru finally heard the news of my breakup. When she first heard it, she still couldn't believe it, until she heard others mention it repeatedly. Did she dare to bring out the joy she had suppressed for so long and release it? She went to find me with a smile, wanting to comfort me, but everything was beyond her expectations. I didn't show any sadness. The way I looked at her was no different from a few months ago, like looking at thin air. The smile on Su-ura's face froze. She tentatively asked me a question. Did you get the short end of the stick? This relationship for me was indeed born from beauty. I was simply lusting after the beauty's looks, so I dated her for a few months. Now that I've seen her face a lot, I'm a bit aesthetically fatigued, and it just so happened that she was about to return to her country. So I took the opportunity to suggest breaking up. Was it true love? I did invest a little, but not much. So after breaking up, apart from a little emptiness at the beginning, I recovered quickly. So when I heard Su-uru suddenly ask such a question, I was at a loss for words for a moment. I stared at her for a long time, and finally gave a very polite smile. We broke up peacefully. It was consensual. What's there to gain or lose? Hearing this, Su-ura's heart eased a little. But the next second, she was choked by my unexpected words. Besides, no matter how big the loss, what is it compared to what I went through 2 years ago? Weren't you the one who witnessed it all? Why are you here shedding crocodile tears? Being all hypocritical. The last few mocking sentences made Su-uru panic instantly. She wanted to explain, but I didn't give her a chance. What happened that year? I can explain. Hayachin. Alright. Any more of this is annoying. Su-uru. Stop acting in front of me. Okay, I can no longer appreciate that look of 3 parts coldness, 3 parts heartlessness, and 4 parts of your nonsense acting. If you're having an acting fit, then go back to your country and find Chuma Sheng and your gang of sisters. Okay, they'll surely be happy to cheer you on. These words made Su Yura's face turn red. She no longer had the courage to open her mouth. I pushed her away and walked straight towards the lecture building. Now that the love craze is over, I should focus all my energy on studying. I promised Professor Chen that I would achieve something and return to the country to repay his kindness. After going through so much, Su Yuru was no longer hurt by my words. She even pulled herself together and prepared to continue confessing. From the 50th time to the 99th time, from midsummer to midwinter, facing the pool full of flowers that she arranged, the dazzling firework confession, drones circling the Milan sky. I had no reaction at all. I even felt a little lucky. Lucky that I had corrected how everyone around me addressed me. Now everyone calls me by my English name. Very few people know that I'm the one being confessed to. At this point, the confession tricks Su Yuru could think of had been exhausted. After all, the previous 99 times couldn't move me. She was really out of ideas. In the end, it was thanks to a friend's reminder that she thought of a way for the 100th confession. She chose the school's small garden. She set up a giant domino display in the garden, arranging it into the scene of our first meeting. She used many star-shaped lights hung on the treetops and prepared to light candles in the garden at night, to take me back to the past, to trick me into going there. Suiru had asked many people and prepared dozens of backup plans. This time, she was determined to make me understand that she really did fall in love with me at first sight that day, and now she truly knows her mistake and has repented. Everything was arranged. There was just one unexpected incident. When the appointed time came, the male lead didn't show up. The people who were asked for help before couldn't find a trace of me. All the prepared backup plans were useless. Seeing the surprise she had painstakingly prepared about to go to waste, Suyuru completely lost control. She drove like a maniac, searching every possible place. The 9 o'clock alarm rang. The dark forest was instantly lit up by lights. Countless balloons flew up. Petals and feathers fell from the sky. A romantic piano sound echoed in the forest. A continuous clicking sound was heard. It was the domino display starting on its own. The sound of them falling, one sound per second, lasting for more than 10 minutes. The moment the last domino fell, all the candles were lit, bright with lights and torches. The painting of the 7 swans dance was lifelike on the ground. All the surprises were complete. But Su-Uru felt as if all strength had been drained from her body. She held on to the nearby flower trellis, her forehead beaded with thick sweat, her eyes lost focus. For no other reason than because to her right, the spot specially left for the male lead was completely empty. I didn't go to the scene of her 100th confession, just like I didn't go to my own 100th confession, or the scene of my farewell party. Suyuru knew I must have seen through her thoughts, so she deliberately disappeared without a trace, and the truth was just as she had predicted. Waiting until everything had quieted down, her phone rang. It was a strange international call, but as soon as she answered, she quickly recognized it. On the other end of the line was my voice, and she could hear the sound of ocean waves crashing and some soft laughter. I heard you were planning your 100th confession tonight. It's just a shame I'm not in Milan right now. I'm so sorry. Suyura's heart, which had turned to ash after hearing that familiar voice, rekindled a little. She swallowed the pain and resentment in her heart, pretending to be calm as she replied to me. It's okay. The fact that you called me already makes me very happy. As long as you agree, I can prepare the 101st confession. Her voice carried a vague sense of expectation, as if she had already started, daydreaming that I had forgiven her. I had no intention of creating this illusion. I looked at the rolling sea before me and the sunshine, warming my body, my tone carrying a hint of cheerfulness. No, that won't be necessary. I called today just to inform you of 2 things. Suyura's throat tightened, her hand holding the phone clenched, a light flashing in her eyes. It's unclear if it was an incomprehensible glimmer of hope or the flickering reflection of a candle. The first thing is a kind reminder for you. It's winter now. The weather is dry. If you're done playing, you should quickly blow out all the candles in the garden, lest you cause a disaster. Hearing these words, Su-Aru looked up and saw a dry leaf slowly falling, twirling in the air. The second thing is to tell you some good news. I have a girlfriend again. This girlfriend, well, she's a bit prettier than the last one. You can stop your confessions at number 100. These simple words entered Suyura's mind, but they echoed countless times. In an instant, it was as if she had been cursed, brainwashed by these repeated phrases. A piercing pain shot through her head. Under the intense pain, she lost all her strength. With a thud, the phone slipped from her hand and fell onto a candle holder. Unfortunately, for the convenience of measuring, arranging, and storing, these candle holders were all tied together with silk ribbons. One candle fell, pulling down the candles next to it. The blazing fire licked at. The dry leaves scattered all over the ground, then spread to the wooden cards. The winter wind blew strongly, and in just a few breaths, a huge fire raged in the garden. The towering flames reflected in Suyura's eyes, and the chill in her body was chased away by the heat. But she made no move to escape or call for help. She was like a statue, becoming a part of this garden. The whole night passed, and all the trees in the garden were burned to the ground. The only fortunate thing was that there were no casualties. When preparing this surprise, to keep it a secret, Suyuru had paid to have everyone in the vicinity leave. When the accident happened, she was the only one around. The firefighters arrived in time, saving her just as she was about to pass out from the smoke. Although she was lucky to have survived, the terrible consequences of her impulsive actions could not be erased. This fire angered the board of Kingda University. They firmly declared they would pursue responsibility to the fullest extent. As the #1 suspect, Suyuru was arrested by the police. After learning this news, the Su family was extremely worried. They used all their connections to bail her out, but this was an international case. There was no way Suyuru could get out unscathed. In the end, the Su family paid more than half of their family's assets in compensation, promising to compensate the university at 10 times the cost. Before Kingda University finally relented for causing a negative impact, Suyuru had to serve half a year in prison, was also blacklisted in Europe and America, deported from the country, and permanently banned from entering. As soon as she got out of prison, she was taken to the airport to be deported back to her country. Seeing the people around her passing by in summer clothes, in a dazed state, Suyuru felt as if she had finally woken up from a long dream. So it was already summer. Months had passed. I had never visited her even once. After realizing this, complex emotions welled up in her heart. It was unclear whether it was disappointment or loneliness. The days are still long. There will still be a chance to meet again. Suyuru could only comfort herself this way. But as soon as she turned her head, she saw me walking out from the arrival gate. We hadn't seen each other in months, but there wasn't a trace of fatigue on my face. I just had a bright smile, so wide that my eyes crinkled, and what annoyed Suyuru the most wasn't the smile on my face, but the woman whose hand I was holding. In prison, she had asked some of her sisters who visited to find a way to show her a picture of my girlfriend. Although she only had a glimpse through the window, Suyuru still remembered that face. But the woman standing next to me now was not the one in her memory. For a moment, she couldn't tell if she had misremembered or if her sisters had made a mistake. Just as I looked up, I saw her. I rarely greeted her enthusiastically. Then, I bluntly told her the truth. Long time no see. I just got back from a trip to Germany. Oh, so you're out of prison. Time really flies. Let me introduce you. This is my new girlfriend, Lei. After Suyuru returned to the country, she had a few people send me a message. She asked me whether I was acting or being sincere. I didn't answer her. At this point, I had completely seen through Suyuru. She said she liked me, but in reality, the only person she liked was herself. To her, I was nothing more than a tool to show off, to satisfy her grotesquely inflated ego. Look, I, who am pursued by so many men, have Zhang Haichan willingly prostrating at my feet, at my beck and call, to be toyed with. How powerful must I be? What a twisted mentality. No matter how she tried to prove or explain herself, in the eyes of someone like Suyuru, it would only be excuses she came up with. So I couldn't be bothered with her anymore. And I didn't care about her anymore. Whether she proved it 100 times or 200 times, or 1,000 times, I wouldn't give her another glance. I didn't need to waste time on someone like her. During my second year of studying abroad in Milan, I seized the opportunity to participate in many competitions, broadened my horizons, and also built a reputation for myself. I was busy researching the latest fashion trends with my professors and classmates, and in my free time, I would hang out and relax with friends, traveled the world with my blonde, blue-eyed girlfriend, experiencing a beautiful life together. Life is so long. I still have a vast, unpredictable future to explore. How could I misjudge someone again and push myself into a quagmire? Time passed day by day, and soon, the 3 years of my exchange student life came to an end. I returned to the country with a suitcase full of gold awards. As soon as I got off the plane, I saw my parents and a few roommates holding flowers to welcome me. It had been too long since we last met. I was also very moved and ran up to hug everyone. The group chatted as we walked to the pre-booked restaurant. There, I met Professor Chen again after 3 years. I solemnly placed the suitcase in my hands in front of my respected teacher, raised my hand and joked a little, reporting, "Professor, your student has completed the mission you assigned and returned to invite you to inspect my results from the past 3 years." Professor Chen naturally knew about the designs I created abroad, but since we hadn't seen each other in a long time, he also happily joked with me. He gently patted my shoulder, pretending to be profound. "You must absolutely not be arrogant or complacent. You must still strive to climb to new heights." The conversation between the teacher and student made everyone present burst into laughter. The professor's wife enthusiastically invited everyone to sit down at the dining table, raising glasses and toasting. Amidst the clinking of glasses, the atmosphere was extremely cheerful and lively. After we had eaten and drunk our fill, I took out a few invitation letters from my bag and distributed them to everyone. My eyes were filled with a smile, inviting everyone to gather here today. Besides reminiscing about old times, I actually wanted to invite everyone to a fashion show I've been preparing for a long time. Hearing this, even Professor Chen showed a look of surprise. "A fashion show in Milan? Then I must definitely go and inspect your results thoroughly." My roommates also started shouting one after another. Well, go get our visas later. We should still make it. Right. Hayachin. We want VIP seats. Hearing everyone's proud tone, a tone of genuine happiness for me, my heart warmed. This fashion show was organized by my mentor in Milan, and because of my outstanding achievements from 3 years of hard work, I was given the opportunity to present my work at this exhibition. This is also the first time I've stepped onto such a big stage, so I feel I must present this precious stage to all the people who truly appreciate it, and the people I invited did not disappoint me. On the appointed day, they all came to the airport. Not a single person was missing. I carried my aspirations and expectations for the future and boarded the flight with everyone. That would perhaps open up a new life for me. Before leaving, I turned back to look around one last time. Outside the boarding gate, I saw a very familiar figure. It was Suyuru, but my gaze didn't linger on her because I knew she didn't have the right to enter Milan and would no longer have an admission ticket to my life. We were just two strangers in a sea of people, about to pass each other by.